Okay, I'm recording now, and I'm
Yep.
because I just wanted to make sure that I got this, because a lot of times when I jump into conversations with my friends about any given topic, what happens is that we record too late. Things are already getting interesting, and then we start recording after the cool stuff has already been said. So I just go with the recording right away. But there's no pressure here, and we'll see how the conversation goes. And you have the final say on whether or not you want it to be published.
Oh look, I'm a free spirit, my dear. So don't worry about it.
Well, I'm really grateful that you're giving me this time. I mean, it's really kind of you, ma'am. Thank you.
Oh, well, I'm amazed that you can do it at 4:30 in the morning. My brain's already on brain.
That's the beauty of being
on brain fog at this time of the afternoon, evening. So, well, I just seeing this is about you're a non-dualist. I'm not saying I'm a dualist, but I'm saying I use dualism to traverse the world because I can't escape it.
Yes.
So I'm into the philosophy of you use what you've got. And so I know it's an illusion, but I can't escape the illusion. Yes, so I just accept the illusion, knowing that there's something greater than me. And it's not me, it's not this person, it's not this personality. So I don't know where you want to go from there.
Well, I think it's amazing. I think it's beautiful. I think generally speaking, we have a game of semantics between us in that there is really no difference between what you are saying and what I'm saying. Ultimately, I don't know truth. I can't tell you what anything is or is not in actuality. I can't know that. And so we can only discuss.
I feel I have more control than you feel you have. And I've only come to that understanding in the last, well, how old am I now? 65. So I suppose in the last 20 years, I've come to a realization that I have more input. So this is where the cause and effect argument happens between dualists and non-dualists. I think in that cause and effect is a real event, and you can use it against you or you can use it for yourself. So and I'm always into empowering myself and encouraging other people to empower themselves however they want to do it. I don't give a damn really how they do it, or even if they do it, but 65, I've acquired a bit of knowledge over the years. I suppose that's why I wrote my book this years ago, and I published it.
What is it? What's the title of that?
A Voice to Myself Opened Up a Door to Life.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Exploring emotions, perceptions, awareness, love, and the divine.
Beautiful.
So I did that mainly because I was sharing a house with one of my dearest friends, and he was not a doer. He was always hoping and wishing, but never actually taking the risk to do, and never finishing any projects. So he suggested, because we had many discussions over many years of knowing each other, sitting out over dinner, over drinks, over a joint, over all sorts of things, talking about how much you can influence your life, and you actually have to face your fears to do that. And not many people are brave enough to do that. Now, I was brave enough to do that before I even became more aware. Like I told you about the gunman episode in the Khyber Pass. I don't know. I think I must be an old soul. Obviously, you don't believe in reincarnation. I don't
Oh,
know.
I wouldn't know. I really wouldn't know. I've seen some pretty interesting.
But I think it's an absolute possibility.
Well, I like the an old wise homeless man told me once, many years ago. Um, he said, "Well, if you burn a piece of paper, it turns into ash. You know, if you can't get rid of energy. Essentially, it just
Well, exactly.
turns into something else."
That's what I believe in. Our life force
Yeah,
is an energy.
yeah, I like the
And
metaphor. I do. Yeah.
And so my life force is an energy. This personality isn't. I mean, it is, but it's more, just dissipates. Whereas the thing that enlivens this physical thing is a true life force, and it's connected to all of us, I think. I think we're all interconnected in a way that is more real than many people think. I mean, how do you know when you're in a room and you know somebody's staring at you and you turn around and they're staring at you? I mean, you just know. And the more you work with that energetic interaction, the more real and the more palpable it becomes. I'm not an empath in that I don't feel somebody else's emotions, but I sense somebody else's emotions. And that doesn't have to be because they're crying or because they're stooping or because of reading their body language. I just sense their emotion. Luckily, because I think I got chronic fatigue because I was always helping other people and not helping myself. So, and then once it gets in the physical, it becomes really difficult to shift. And mine got into the physical through a bad chemical exposure thing. And you know, and I believe in miracles, but I say that I believe in miracles, but there's that essence of me that says, no, I don't actually. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You think you know something, you think you believe in something, but then when it actually comes to test it, all this second dialogue comes into your head and says,
Well, I think that has to do with doubt. What is the I
doubt.
think biblically speaking, it would be thou shalt not test the Lord thy God. It's the same way with miracles. Thou shalt not, try to make this happen for one's own personal. You're not supposed to do that. I think. I mean,
well, yeah,
within that whole parameter, like to actually make that happen.
With all that bullshit, excuse my French, to anybody who's watching this that has a great belief in the Bible, I think it's been misused too many times.
Yes, absolutely.
It's maybe God's word, but it's interpreted through a human context, which has all got to do with ego, control, and judgment. And
I was making a
greater divine energies. There's no ego involved. He, she, it does not need adoration, does not need on bended knee to worship. Respect is all that is required. Respect in the fact that knowing that this is a power that you can tap into. And that's a power on occasion when no doubt enters my mind whatsoever. And I just know that it's going to be. And it's rare because I'm just a fallible human being, being indoctrinated by Catholic religion for my formative years. So it's, 25 plus years after I changed my mind about going with the religion as such, I then had to form a completely different new way of seeing the world. So, and then that's when I found the power of manifestation, which, was introduced to the world through a totally commercial source. Well, no, it wasn't. It was commercialized by a totally commercial source, and that was The Secret video. But there are many metaphysical thinkers that have produced that documentation before, and it's not taken off. But at the moment, there's in the metaphysical community. We've just gone through and coming the end of what's called the Lion's Gate, which is the alignment of the planets and the stars and all that sort of stuff. And it's supposed to be an awakening of humanity. So, you know, I say all of this with I don't know, but it feels right sort of stuff, because everything's changing. People are starting to think more about each other, about community, about the planet finally, about climate change, about, you know, unfortunately our leaders are not really catching up with us.
Yeah, there's a story that's been told a few times.
So, I mean, you know, Joe Biden, God bless his little cotton socks, seems to be doing a fairly good job for an older man. I mean, our Prime Minister is still stuck in the evangelical apostolic sort of Christian church, and yet he still abuses, he still has laws that abuse refugees, you know. I love Australia, but I'm not proud of some of the things we do, because I'm sure you in America are the same.
Yeah, it's definitely a big country with a lot of voices. So yeah, it's advanced citizenship to be able to participate in the system while detesting what is being done by that system in regards to you know, how it all plays out. I mean, the voting, the democracy, the republic, all of that stuff. Yeah, it's very difficult to allow somebody that you don't agree with to express themselves freely. Yeah.
What part of the country are you from?
I'm from LA, California originally, but I am now in Charlotte, North Carolina. But
right.
But yeah, I don't generally speak politics on these things, but it's,
no. But all I'm saying is that politics is starting to, in certain areas, it's the new way of thinking is starting to sneak through. You know, people
what would you say the new way of thinking is?
Sorry?
What would you say the new way of thinking is?
The new way of thinking is coming, thinking about us all being connected, us all having responsibility for the planet, us all having a responsibility within our communities that interconnect. All of those things. We're all, you know, some of us have an understanding at a different degree of that connection. Some people just have an understanding that what you do over there affects me over here in just the practicalities of climate change, for example. But, you know, from a higher perspective in the metaphysical world, it's, I don't know whether you've heard of the butterfly effect, I'm sure you have, or, you know, the 100 Monkery syndrome, which is, you know, you get a critical mass of somebody thinking in a certain way, and then all of a sudden there's a big shift.
Yeah.
And according to a lot of metaphysicians at the moment, there's this major shift going to happen, and most probably is happening at the moment. I don't know whether that's true, but I like that philosophy. So that's where this, when you're talking about dealing with duality, that's what needs to happen. We need to if we're not really dual, but it appears like we're dual. So we have to work with that duality. You know, it doesn't matter what you are. I just know that if the way I think creates a better circumstance for me physically and emotionally, just on the fact of this dualistic being living in a house, you know, having food and comfort, I have, since I changed my whole way of thinking, I never have to worry about being secure, even though I rent and I could be sold out from under me. But I put out into the universe that whatever happens, I will be okay. And so real not real, I don't know, but it's certainly worked for me so far. So when it comes to proof, that's the nearest proof I can be. And everything that I know, for example, there's been a few circumstances where, because we're energetic beings, I can connect energetically with people. And it's happened to me on a number of occasions, especially since I've got chronic fatigue. I don't socialise, right? And I often think of I've only got 4 or 5 really, really close, intimate friends that, you know, I know them inside out and they know me basically inside out. And I often think of them, but occasionally over the last 10 or 15 years especially, I get this absolute need to ring them or contact them in some way. And it's usually, this is what's happened, where I said, hi, I've just got an urge to, I have to contact you. And, you know, one friend said, yeah, Dad died just 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
And then another friend said, oh yeah, I won't say the name, let's say ordinary name, Sue moved out yesterday. Mm-hmm. And, you know, these are cause and effect events in the metaphysical world and that's happened to me numerous times. Somebody couldn't get out to get any food, and I rang them up and said, because I like cooking, and she used to do my ironing for me because I hated ironing. And I rang her up and said, oh, I'm just making a big pan of soup, would you want some? She said, how did you know I needed to have some food? I said, I have no idea. I was just drawn to the fact that I hadn't, you know, it's this immediate response. It's not this delayed response. It's a sort of pretty immediate response. So that's why I don't like the idea of the no thing or no one existing argument.
Well, again, this is a game of semantics. I mean, we're talking about synchronicity as it appears in the story of self. As you say, you cannot know. You're using words like energy and things like that, barring, you know, any definitive definition for such. But we don't have the words. Energy really has no definition. But what else can we say? What else can we use? And in this regard, like, we cannot know the very simplest things that appear to be accepted by the self, that cause and effect are real, and that these are things of interconnected energetic happenings. All of that is definitely understandable, synchronicity and that kind of thing. I don't deny within the story of myself even synchronicity, but the only difference between the two of us that I can see insofar as how we're looking at this is I see it more as the lack of a tether to that story or that understanding that there is a source for or a cause for what appears to be this effect. And so what I'm saying is synchronicity happens much like the self appears to be speaking right now to another individual in time and space through, you know, exchanging information.
Well, it is in a dualistic appearance because we're in a dualistic environment.
Well, are we?
That's what I work with.
Well,
what actually appears. Now I'm just going to get up and go and get my vape.
Sure.
Because when I'm talking, I need to have, I used to smoke, but I don't anymore. Hang on, I'll be back.
Sure.
It doesn't seem the same if you're not smoking and talking and drinking at the same time. So I'm just having a cup of tea. So yeah, that's where perception is the thing that and the understanding of perception is the thing that drives my I don't know what word to use, because none of them work well. Ideology, belief, understanding might be the newest thing, because ideology, it has such a
right. And along that line of a lack of an ability to define these critical words insofar as your position of duality, and it is dual and non-dual, and both, neither, and something else entirely. I mean, I'm not saying duality or non-duality is actual. What I'm saying is it's unknowable, okay, to be, as you are saying, interconnected, because and this is the distinction. What appears to be happening from this position of a lack of a position is that everything is arising as it appears. Synchronicity on down, metaphysical, whatever you want to say, physical, metaphysical. It appears that we are two different people having a conversation. But actually, what is more accurate to say, and I'm not saying completely true, I'm just saying it's more accurate to say that what is arising here now is the appearance of two people having a conversation, but there is no two people here. What is happening, and please let me, and what I mean by that is the expression of the totality is culminating in what appears to be the two of us exchanging information, talking about the totality. And so it's not that you are an individual navigating time and space, or that I am also the same and we are having two different experiences within this dimension. What is happening is this dimension is expressing itself as the two of us now. And so all of that interconnected stuff is actually a little bit, it's like adding to that reality, or to that. The only thing that I as an individual, quote unquote, can know is that I cannot know that I actually exist within time and space, much like you cannot define energy or gravity, or you can't come up with a source other than a story. You can't come up with an initial cause without making up a god of some kind. And what I am saying is, or what I appear to be saying is, that this is here now, sourceless. There is nothing making it happen. It simply is what it is. And is not is, as it appears separate. But see, so this position, or this happening, not happening, as it appears us now, is actually this immediate experience is not relative to another point. So it's not really a thing. And what appears to be separation within it is what it is, but it's not, it's because it's not relative to another position, it's not really an object, and it's not really a dimension or a time or a space or individuals within it. It simply is the story of such. And the beauty of that, the beauty of it is that it's not logic, and it's not a concept, it's not a subject or object, it's not a conclusion. The reality of it is we have no example of a source. We have no example of a destination. I cannot know that you exist, just as you cannot know I exist, just as I can't know I exist within this framework. So what is actually happening is the appearance of this here and now.
Does it matter that there's no proof of any of it,
Well,
other than
no, not at all.
Because we have to deal with what is, either that or we kill ourselves, right?
No.
They're the two things. The way I work with this dualistic perception is the fact to make this existence, right, which is I feel like I am experiencing, it, to make it better. Yeah. I have worked out that I can influence it in such a way that I can create comfort, happiness, and peace. Now, that and abundance without being rich.
Okay.
So that's a completely different perspective than saying I can't prove any of what you're saying either, and I don't feel I need to, because I'm dealing with what is now, right?
Right.
Dealing with my inefficiency, my inability to do much, but my brain can work, my heart can reach out to people. I have a lot of contact with people on an energetic level, but I have little contact on a physical level. And that feels very real. Now, I know you say it's all about feeling, perceiving.
No. The only difference between what we're saying here is that you are saying you are self-expressing without, and even though you are caveating that statement or that assertion with, you don't know, you can't know anything. So all I am saying is, this is not, what I'm saying is that you are not self-expressing so much. I'm just asking you to deal or to consider this, that you are being expressed from no position. See, it's sourcelessness in that it's not coming from a place, not going to a destination. And so this is not a path. And so what I'm saying is, or what I appear to be saying is that this expression of us here now is as it is, without explanation or rhyme or reason. And the beauty of it is that it's not an interconnection. It literally is not two. We are not interconnected because we're not separate at all.
No, we're not, but we appear.
But that is not an understanding. That is the way that is the lack of a belief in a story about source, or a story about interconnected, because there is no source.
Where I do differ from you in that I think there is, which I love the North American Indian saying of what God is. It's called Wakatanka, which is the great, I believe it means the great mystery. And yes, I believe that, as much as you said you can't prove there's energy. I mean, energy is
no. You can't define it.
Sorry?
No, you can't define energy. What is energy?
But, we can't define love, but it exists in my respect.
Okay.
So because that's an energetic thing, like all our emotions are. People think it's the expression, of an emotion. No, it's the motion, it's the energy of an emotion. And love is a very powerful emotion. And I think that is most probably what the divine energy of the universe is. I don't like using the word God because it's been bastardized by too many people, but I do believe that because there's a positive and negative, matter, antimatter, everything in our dualistic realm.
Well, see, now, how do you know that?
Sorry?
How do you know that?
Because
this is what we're talking about. The difference between. Just hang on, easy, hang on. This is what we're talking. This is the difference with what we're saying here. You are making claims about positive and negative and all of that kind of thing. And you are saying what makes you feel good, or what makes you, yes, you're telling stories, but without any kind of validity. I mean, without any kind of verification. You are saying this makes me feel good. And what I am saying is, in regards to feeling good or not feeling good, is the irrelevance of the appearance of this here and now, because we don't have control over it. I mean, as you said.
This is where we do.
Okay, now tell me how you have control.
I've had many experiments over time, and I did one with my dear friend Patrick, Irishman, and we used to say, he used to have this discussion with me, not on the non-dualistic side, but he used to say, what you're talking about, Maryanne, is a lot of bullshit. And I say, okay, we were standing in a pub having a drink, and I saw this couple across the other side of the bar, and you could tell just from body language, let alone the energy that I could feel off them, you could tell from body language that they were really pissed off with each other. And I said to Patrick, I said, now I'm going to focus on those two because I've seen them for the last half hour. Why the hell are they standing in a bar not talking at each other and just practically half turned to each other when you know that they're actually a couple? You just knew it was a couple. I've never seen them before, but they just felt like a couple that were having a fight. And I said, look, I'm gonna now use my understanding. This is when I was at the very beginning of trying to manipulate this energetic field that I thought we lived in. So I was trying to prove it to myself as well as to Patrick. And I thought the only way to do it is to try. So I just stood there for 5 minutes while Patrick was, he was sort of watching me, but drinking his pint of Guinness. And I concentrated on the two of them, and I got a feeling that it'd be easier for the woman to communicate with the man than the man to initiate the conversation with the woman. So I concentrated on her, and I just sent energy to them, and this thing about, you know, just start a conversation. Something's the matter here. Ask him the question. Say how you feel. And they were close enough to me so I could hear not specifics as such, but an odd word here and there. Now, all it took was 5 minutes. And I could see the change in her. Something came over her, this thought came to her. And all of a sudden, her body language started easing up. And then she turned. And then she turned away and she thought, oh, no, I've got to be brave enough. So I said, no. And I said, you know, this sounds weird, I know. But yeah, I said, keep going, darling, keep going. And without saying anything, this is all just sending stuff. And in the end, they ended up, and I actually put the word humour in my content, my energetic content to her. Humour is the best way to overcome anger in any situation. So, and that's what happened basically. Long story short, within 15 minutes, these two were, you could tell that they were dealing with a big issue between the two of them, and they started talking, and I heard the odd giggle, and so I thought, oh, this is really interesting. Did I do that? Right?
Well, are you under the impression that that cannot happen non-dualistic? I mean, that doesn't see I think what you're where the misapprehension is here, or the misunderstanding is that your life
at the same time as I decided to happen. So it was just a coincidental something that was happening, right?
Yeah.
So
I'm not arguing.
That was enough for me to say, okay, did it work once? That's not proof of anything, but it worked once.
Well, you don't have to prove it to me. It happens all the time. But that kind of stuff is everybody.
Yes, but that's an energy exchange, because you can make a person get angry at you. You can make a person, you can make anybody do anything, I found. I did a lot of experimenting after that one experience, because I was of the thought that telepathy and energetic exchange, it was just something I was just starting to experience. Now, I've done it, I won't say hundreds, but I've done it a great number of times, at least a dozen times or more. I don't know. I seem to do it every time, because I can change the energy in a room before I even turn up there these days. So wherever I go is there peace and calm. You know, I don't know whether you've ever been in I'm sure you have, because you're an ex-veteran dealing with when I had to retire from my job, I had to go to Centrelink, which is our federal assistance agency, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And you can imagine that those officers, the first time I walked into one of those totally unprepared, there was anger, there was abuse, there was so much shit going on in that office, and I ended up having to So, fuck, what's going on in here? I was so energetically exposed to all this crap.
Right.
So I actually walked out, and then the next time I thought, okay, I'm going to see if I can use this now. And so I now prepare my way whenever I have to go to Centrelink, and when I have never had anything else but a clear road, no abuse happening around me, and I usually, because I usually add, I don't want to wait in a queue for more than 15 minutes, and it always works. So whereas everybody I know that goes to Centrelink has to stand there for 2 hours at least.
Well, Maryanne, I think you're under the impression somehow that, you know, I wouldn't believe you or something, but or I want to argue with you about this. No, it's not that at all. Would you believe that if I told you that I knew I would be here now when I was 8 years old, that I would be right here right now when I was 8 years old? Would you believe that?
I don't know you well enough to know whether you were so insightful. If you did think you were ending up being as you are now at 8 years old, you would have had to be an old soul and know that something would happen.
Well, okay. So let's play with that. Let's say that I knew at some, like when I was 8 years old, I had a vision, and I saw myself as handicapped and talking to people from around the world, but I never made it happen. You know, I didn't understand what that meant because there was no internet or anything like that. I didn't know, I couldn't quite figure it out. But here I am all these years later, and it just kind of happened.
Is that a true story, or is that
true
just
story.
an example?
No, that's a true story. I knew I would be here now, crippled, talking to people from around the world. Okay, but I didn't. But I never made it happen. It was never, and even the way with the mechanism.
Happen. This is my thing. The thing about working with energy is you don't doubt it. You just surrender it.
It just is. But see, yeah. Here's the thing. It is not in the traditional sense of energy. Okay. Now, what I'm suggesting here is that not that the story of that 8-year-old kid is true in the sense that there is a past in which this character actually existed in time and space and is navigating this here now. Okay. And this connection I have with that child, of which I don't think I ever really grew out of that moment of insight. And I am still that child in many ways. But that is the appearance of the two of us here and now within this unexplainable happening, not happening, because there is no definition or explanation that is not a story. And so the story that I am telling, okay, though validatable within my experience of Howard growing up, being born, growing up in a past, into this here now, hoping for things in the future, all of that is predicated on the assumption that I am a self that thinks my own thoughts and is consciously aware of other things, that I have knowledge and I'm aware of stuff. And that see now here's the thing. Here's the funny part about it is everything that you are saying, you are caveating with, I don't know, but it makes me feel good to see this. See, what I'm saying is, well, we just hear me out. So what I am saying, or what I appear to be saying, is the unknowability of the validatable evidence of the story or any of that kind of stuff. It is completely illusory. There is no explanation. There is no cause. Okay, there is no source or destination. Time and space don't exist as they appear in duality. And so
statements don't necessarily have to be true. You don't have to prove something to actually think that it's a possibility.
Exactly. So what I'm saying is, instead of looking at it as you are expressing yourself as someone who can change the energy in a room before you get in it, look at it like this. Just for fun, just play with this idea that you are not thinking, you are not doing anything, you are being done. Thought is the expression of a Maryanne thinking she can change energy. But see, that's the thing. This in itself is not dimensional. It just appears that way. You see what I'm saying?
I don't think I can change energy. I think I can utilize energy.
Yeah, but
that's
that
a
is
completely different thing.
but see, that's the story of Maryanne being expressing herself, rather than what I'm asking or suggesting.
I am Maryanne in a dualistic dimension here.
Yes.
Right?
But you
I just have to accept that fact.
No, you are saying
And
that.
then there's also this higher self that knows more than
there's no knowing.
Anybody could ever know.
Okay.
So
well, you're misunderstanding.
Marrying the two together.
No, okay. Well, that's that's entirely possible. It is and is not. Reality is and is not. Existence is and is not. Maryanne is and is not. That the reality of the situation is there is no knowledge in this respect. It simply is, as you were talking about chaos theory before. Chaos theory being the unknowability of matter and motion and time and space. You cannot know the cause and the effect. You can see it, what appears to be an effect, but you can never know the cause. And so,
but actually, I've also found out that chaos is not as chaotic as one would think.
Well, so, please go ahead, man. I'm sorry.
No. So the thing is, how to make this. I'm a great believer in. I have to live in this dualistic world. I might as well make it as comfortable as possible. Yeah. And when I got sick, I thought, why is this happening to me? I'm not such a bad person. So that was the original concept of what started my book, right?
Yes, ma'am.
I was a good Dutch Catholic girl that said, God is not quite as bad as some religions where they say punish, like my nephew is into, a judgmental God, which just means God has an ego. So I can't imagine if there was a God as such.
Well, we'll look at it like that. That's exactly what I'm saying. Look at it like that. Okay. This immediate experience is coming from nowhere and going to nothing. It has no source. There is no God, okay, that is making this happen. There is no cause that is making this happen. Now just hear me out. What the appearance of this happening is sourceless, in that there is nothing making it happen, and so it appears to be an effect. But that is essentially, if you want to call it God, you can call it God. You could say that this appearing to happen and Maryanne appearing to change the energy of others or having telepathy or any of that stuff is the appearance of this here and now, but it's because it's sourceless. And
why do you not acknowledge the fact that in a dualistic world that it's an illusion, but you have to work with the illusion anyway? Why does the argument say then? It just seems like a cop-out to me, because we have to deal with it some way or other. No. Why do you have to say we don't exist?
Well, we don't.
Then everything that
it's not a choice, though.
I'm trying to make it from this ultra high perspective that nobody can actually possibly connect to in this environment, and I can understand why people want to do that.
It's not a choice. It's not a choice. You see, what you're talking about is why not do this in order to make yourself feel better, all right? Or why not do this because it's easier? Why, for whatever reason.
Me, as such, it's got to do with the fact that the world's in such a terrible place. And it appears that way, and it is that way.
You are
on an emotional level,
right? And you're asking me, why don't I just do something? Like that
to be them, everybody understanding that we're all connected, and we can do something about it while we're waiting to get to this higher plane, higher dimension.
Okay. See, now what does that mean?
Well, it means once we die, this life force that's within us doesn't disappear. Energy cannot be formed or
Okay, now, no. Okay, now hang on. Okay, now hang on a second. Let me ask you something. We can, as we have stated before, we don't know what energy is, right?
No, you say you don't know what energy is. I know.
Okay, so now you are saying that energy is a happening. Okay, and now you're adding planes to it.
It's what fires the universe, and it's what fires this physical sack, and it's what. Well, do you not believe?
But that is a story, unless you can define it.
You don't actually believe the sun exists.
But that's just a story, right?
Sorry.
That's a story, right? I mean, it's just a story that you're telling. It doesn't mean anything.
No.
So it's a fact.
I think the universe is just a whole collection of energy, and
right. So you are telling a story about what you think.
Multiple different ways.
Right. So what you're doing
by saying, "Oh, it's just a story," because you can't.
Well, you just said it.
Because you can't explain it, does not mean that it doesn't exist, Howard.
But it doesn't mean it does.
Argument is because you can't explain it, it doesn't exist.
I'm saying that I don't believe the story because it has no validity in what I am experiencing or what I appear to be experiencing. See, the thing is that what you think is interconnected, I can't even get there because you and I are not proven to exist. So we cannot interconnect.
What is connecting us at this point in time?
We're not. See, we're not separate. No. We're not separate. See, you are a
conversation, and that's an energetic. That's happening on an energetic pathway.
No,
which is
something
that is.
Well, again, what is energy?
Work. Why does the internet
this word energy you keep using that you cannot define?
You don't believe in radio waves then either. Everybody used
what
to
is a radio. What is that? What are you talking about? Exactly all of that is the appearance of it happening. See, what you're saying is
that is it's not just the appearance of it happening, it's that we can control it happening. We can control radio waves happening. Then they obviously exist. Just because.
Well, yes, I mean this is no. See, what you're doing.
Just listen to this. If you don't tune into a radio station right properly.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Of the transfer of
technology.
The radio waves.
Yes. Yeah, I get it.
Then radio waves exist, right? Because you get the effect of them. That's the cause and effect where you won't acknowledge the cause and effect.
No.
Because you can't.
None of that is real.
I couldn't get the Zoom thing working today. We wouldn't be having this conversation.
Well, yeah, it's tech. Yeah, yes, I understand what you're saying. Technology appears to exist. Yes, we appear to be talking on some kind of technology that can transfer little digital bits of information to outer space, to another satellite, then back down to you, then back to me instantaneously. It's absolutely fascinating. Yes, I understand what you mean. There appears to be knowledge in that we can teach each other how to use these tools in order to speak to each other. Yes, I understand what you mean.
We live in a dualistic society, so we can utilize that knowledge within
but that's the assumption
to get to actually what is more than me and more than you is our what people say is a soul.
Well, we're going for more than rather than trying to figure out what exactly is. You're building stories on top of stories.
I don't know how electricity is really transmitted into my house, but
That's not what I'm saying.
I know that I'm pissed off when it isn't. So, I don't need to know, especially these days.
But I'm not talking about energy.
The bundles of knowledge that are spread over the world. It's sort of like I was in the medical profession for 33 years as a radiographer. When I first started, an orthopod just dealt with every bone in the body. By the time I retired 33 years later, people were just specialising in feet or in knees or in shoulders or in whatever, because there was so much knowledge you couldn't all accumulate it all at once to be a benefit to everybody else. So
you're talking about the story.
yeah, because it's what creates my reality in this dualistic appearance, illusion, better.
Yes,
by making it better, right? So
I appear to be aware of that.
I don't want to say that that's all there is, which is what most people have done up until, you know, I suppose in the early 1900s was, or the late 19th century, when they started thinking that there was something really great. I mean, strangely enough, religion has been around for centuries, eons.
Well, let's look at let's look at that.
But nobody, you know, but most people that are in religion these days, I mean, even the Catholic Church that talk about miracles don't accept miracles. Most, you know, then you get the other extreme of churches that say that they can cause miracles when they're so bloody corrupt that they couldn't possibly, because they have to fake them. So all of this truth is hidden amongst all the ego, fear, and control that people try to put onto each other. Whereas I'm saying, I don't want anybody to control me. I am able to tap into a source that allows me to control for me.
What is that source?
That is the greater energy pool of the universe. Is the best description I can have, and it's the divine energy, because I know, to me, there must be another, because there's people like, for example, you know, people say basic term of the secret is if you envisage, believe, trust, you can manifest. And that's why people like Trump and Hitler and, you know, all the evil people in the world, because they actually believed it was possible to do. And they trusted the fact, but then, you know, things changed, because then they even started doubting, because doubt is a very personal thing. I can't get you to feel the doubt that I feel about my own little inadequacies. And actually doubt is what carries a lot of humanity forward, because the ego has created this fear thing, because all it worries about is our physical survival, not our other part of our higher self, which I don't think you believe in, do you? You don't believe in a higher self or a spirit. You don't have a spiritual aspect to your belief system. Is that correct?
No.
Sorry?
No.
No. So, you know, that is because I wanted to give up on God years ago. And then the bloody fuckers came back in again, because I had to make the whole, but it's a completely different understanding of God. That's why I don't call it God so much. I call it the universe.
Well, what is God?
Well, I don't call it God. The universe is an energy pool that we can tap into. You can use it for good or evil.
The universe is everything.
You can use it for good or evil.
Are you separate from the universe?
All you have to do is tap into it.
Are you separate from the universe?
No, we're all part of it, but it doesn't matter.
So you are God.
It's sort of like we're plugged in, but we're not turned on.
So what is not God?
What is not God?
Yeah, what is not the universe?
There isn't. There's the universe, and you can use it for good or evil.
So why do you need to tap into anything?
Because of the free will aspect of creation of life.
Wait a minute. If you are the universe, okay, and you are, or quote unquote, whatever, say you, if you are the universe, then how can you get away from being the universe?
Because we've got this veil of that we created a conscious being. Consciousness became a aspect of our life force, and I think there's consciousness in most animals.
Consciousness, the illusion of separation.
Possibly even nature. You know,
is consciousness the illusion of separation?
No, consciousness is a collective, but the separation comes because people that's why people, I think, use the terminology of dreaming, because they're not actually aware of all the power that they have within them.
Okay, so
And
if the universe,
we're plugged in because we've got the life force, but we're not switched on, so we're not receiving it, and we're receiving it, but we're not hearing it, sort of thing. It's this circle that of the way energy moves, and it's sort of like being in you know, if you're living in the sea like a fish, you don't even notice the water, but as soon as the fish is out of water, it realizes it needs the water. And it's the same with you know, humans. Once they go into the sea, they realize they need the air and the oxygen. So we have this whole connection of our own individual understanding.
but if you are the universe, how can you be connected to the universe?
We are part of the universe. It's like what's that Zen thing or Confucian thing, or I don't know, Carl Jung might have even said it. The ocean is made up of droplets of water, and you know, humanity is each one of us is a drop in the ocean of humanity, and in the drop of humanity is in the drop of the universe. So you're sort of getting to the Russian doll situation where there's within, and you know, it's not, nothing is simple. Nothing is as simple other than the fact that
it's actually too simple.
We're all part of it, but we don't want to believe that we're part of it because we don't think we're worthy of it.
Well, there's no story
because of religion.
Well, yeah, but belief is the definition of unknowability. Belief is a story, right?
Well,
so like you're telling a story. You're telling a story, and you want me to believe it.
No, I'm telling you, belief to me is a starting point for an experience or a perception. I don't care what anybody else does or thinks, other than the fact that I feel that it'd be a shame to not know. You know, it's a bit like these proselytizing Christians that say they want us all to know Christ. I mean, I don't want to appear like that. But I do think it's sad that people don't realise that they're more powerful than they give themselves credit for. And
what power? What is the need of this power?
The power.
Why do you need to be powerful?
Better, comfortable existence in this duality and learn what we need to learn before we need to move on to another dimension. Which is what happens when we die. But how that is, I have no idea. But I don't believe that the energy of life force, energy that's in our life force, just disappears. It just doesn't.
Why don't you believe that?
Because energy can't be destroyed. It can just be transformed. And you just say,
can't be defined.
You just negate it by saying, well, you don't know what energy is, so it doesn't exist. And that's why I don't.
No.
That's why the dualistic discussion. That's why the dualistic discussion frustrates me, because
well, you're not wanting to listen, are you? I'm trying to explain it to you. I'm trying to explain it to you. I'm trying to explain it.
You haven't been able to convince me in any shape or form that energy does not exist. Whereas I feel I have more information to say energy, it does exist.
Define energy.
Well, you don't have to define it. It just is.
So what evidence are you talking about? So what evidence are you talking about?
Energy is, well, I used energy for most of my working life.
Yeah, but I don't know that you exist.
As a radiographer. And energy
I don't know that you exist.
Apparent with, you know, if I didn't have energy here, I don't have to know what it is. I've got energy here because I can see you. I've got energy here because I've got lighting in my house. It doesn't.
And I'm asking you to look at it from a different point of view, I'm just making the
I know, but the way you're asking me to do that is by just saying deny.
No. There's nothing to deny, ma'am. There's nothing to deny. There is nothing to deny.
Every sense.
All I'm asking you to do is look at it from a different point of view for 1 minute. Ma'am, all I'm asking you to do is to look at it from a different point of view for a moment.
Which is what I've done all my life, trying to see. That's why I'm still a member of your group, Howard, because,
yes, ma'am.
Because I want to understand what people, and that, I don't know how many non-dualists around, because you're the first group of people and you are the first one I've spoken to face to face.
Well, it might take us a couple of conversations to get there. So maybe I'll just shut up and I'll allow you to just explain what it is that you seem to be experiencing, because it's not necessary that you see things from a non-dual perspective, but we are here now, in the appearance of separation, having a conversation about it, and what I was saying, or what I was going to get at, is that it's so simple that it's difficult to understand. It literally is too simple for the mind, because the mind is a mechanism having to do with separation. Okay, it tells a story to a self about a brain. So it's the mind as the effect of the brain telling a story to a self that cannot be defined. And so the brain is an unvalidated mechanism or cause for thought, and thought tells the story to the self.
Yes,
that also cannot be.
I would accept that, Howard, if it wasn't for the fact that there were so many other factors.
Like what?
Physicality of the feelings, which are just emotions. Sensation. Are energy in motion. The feelings Sensation. Are all there. It's not just a blank canvas that you like. If you're looking at me on the screen, you would think if I just sat here, not emoting in any shape or form, that there was just this human form there.
Yeah, but there's not even that.
Yes, I know, but what I'm saying is there is that, and there's me, the personality within that, and then there's me, the higher self within that connects to the greater energy pool. That is my understanding of how I exist, and so, I would say the non-dualist perspective of nothing is fine if we weren't in this dualist perspective, because that's what we'll be when we
but we're not.
We'll be,
but we're not.
When we die. When we die.
See, that's the thing. That's the difference between believing stories and looking at what is. Okay, you are talking about a self that has levels. Okay, whereas I am saying there is no self, and this is dimensionless, because you cannot know as a self that the nature of the information that you are receiving from a mind culminated from a brain and physicality is actual. It just appears that way within the story. See, but you cannot verify that very source. And so that is why you don't have a definition for self or energy or anything else, because you cannot know definitively that point in time and space, i.e. you as a self, exists objectively. It's not an opinion. It is the way it is. And so from that point, you are saying that the story of self that is undefinable has these levels of understanding and knowledge and dimension and all of that stuff.
The levels are in a dualistic perspective until you come to the higher self, which is what is part of the universe, is energy pool. So
And
that is where I think the thoughts come from, to within my personal little experience in this little physical sack with this personality.
Right. Let's see.
It's pulling in information like a radio wave is pulled into a radio that's tuned in, and you can tune yourself in and you can tune yourself out.
And I have no doubt that it appears that way. I have no doubt that it appears that way.
And most people are tuned out, whereas I'm actually tuned in to, you know, there's people that are most probably well beyond my capability. It's something that we are evolving to, Howard. That's the other thing. And there is the spiritual aspect of it too, which is like the American Indians, the great mystery. I don't need to know everything other than knowing that I have this ability now when required. And I tell you, when I do really require it, it always turns up because I trust it to turn up. And when I don't require it, it's my little doubt self comes in.
Well, I have no doubt. I have no doubt about the stories and the appearance of existence in which you are leading seem, you know, fairly self-evident to you. It's just the lack of self and the initial assertion that you exist in some kind of medium known as dualism. You know, yeah, you kind of do and you kind of don't, because I can't know that, and you can't know that I exist. I can't know I exist.
To me, it's more knowable that the dualist actually exists. What's more unknowable to me is the fact of this higher self thing, until I started experiencing it myself.
Well,
and I can't convince anybody or anything.
Okay, so
I just have to convince myself.
Well, why? I mean, why do you have to convince yourself?
That's a bad choice of words. I just know. I have this knowing that there is something greater than me. And it's not describable, it's not provable, it's not verifiable to anybody but myself.
Do you understand?
Each individual has to be on that journey to escape the dualist illusion.
Do you understand that I'm not denying that? Okay, I'm not saying that what you're saying is not true. I'm asking you to just look at it just for shits and giggles. Excuse my French, but just for shits and giggles, just to try it. Okay, try to imagine that your story is not being expressed as a Maryanne, is a separate point in time and space navigating an experience. Look at it like this, just to humor me. It is the totality of expression with a Maryanne in it. Do you understand? Do you understand the difference? You are being expressed rather than expressing yourself. Do you understand that? Do you understand the difference of what I'm asking you to just ponder?
That's why that's why I'm always willing to engage in discussion with you, because up until this point in time, and I've got a pretty good brain that can usually twist.
I know you do. I think you're beautiful, and I love that you're in the.
This non-dualist thing is it seems from a lot of, because I've gone back over some of the stuff that we've had in print over the year or so, and when I'm reading what you're writing, it's sort of like it just does not compute. And I used to be like this at school. If I don't understand something, I can't remember it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it just goes right over. Yeah, it just goes right through.
To understand, and sorry, Howard, up until this point in time, I haven't been able to understand your explanation. Now, is that my failing or your failing? I have no idea. Yeah. Or is it the fact that I'm not meant to understand it? I don't know. That's why I'm willing to engage in these discussions.
Yeah, and that's why I love this whole. I mean, it took me forever to come out and show my face and to just start talking to people, right? And so now that I'm doing it, the beautiful thing, Maryanne, this is paradoxical speaking, but within my story, and like
life is a paradox.
Yeah, well, and like I was saying before, I in no way, shape, or form am I saying that your story is not valid. and that these things are not happening as they appear to be happening. What I'm suggesting is that I am not separate from you, and in this way, because I have my own stories of the same light, but
Yeah.
so it's like this. Just try to imagine that in the outset that you are being expressed, and don't even. The difficult part. Now, this is where it gets kind of tricky. Okay, and I don't want to go. I don't want to say too much, but just little by little, just kind of try to imagine, just for the sake of humoring me. Imagine yourself expressed spontaneously out of nothing. Now, that's difficult for people to understand. Much like what you are saying to people is difficult for them to understand. I am asking you to trust that I am not trying to lead you down any kind of negative path in any way, shape, or form.
No, I still am willing to I think we agree more than you think.
Yeah, this is semantics that we're arguing about. It's semantics.
Because I do believe we're all part of one thing. Now, I put the word energy to it. In the English language and language in general is so fucking useless, Howard.
Your words are useless. Yes.
So it makes the concept of trying to describe. That's why I tend to go with feeling more than words, intent more than action. It's all the ephemeral stuff, which is why I tend to connect to the more spiritual aspect, because this human insufficiency is just such a waste of time sometimes.
What I've come to realize over the years, since that shift of perspective I had, or perception I had back when I was 8, in that story of me, and particularly since I've been doing these Facebook interviews, is that and discussions, is that each language or each conversation has its own language. I mean, we're using words in just the subtle nuances, as they will only be understood between the two of us here and now, and that what I say to you and what you say to me is not going to mean the same thing when we talk to other people. So you and I are kind of coming up with our own. We're coming up with our own language that is only relevant to the two of us.
That's why when I write on Facebook, I notice, when I'm answering things on Facebook to people, some people put, 4 or 5 words together, and I'm thinking, what the fuck do you mean?
Right.
I spend a lot of time choosing the right words, which are even then insufficient to try and explain an intent or an emotion or a experience. And I find that, especially with the younger generation, language is bad enough as it is, but when you start bringing in all the bloody acronyms that they bring in, and all the abbreviations and all the bad spelling and all the other sort of stuff, it makes it really hard to deal with these higher thought sort of conversations.
Well, here's a funny one as far as duality and non-duality, and language. Language requires 2 points in time and space in order to exist. So there must be a you over there and a me over here in order for words to even make sense at all. So it's dualistic. Language is duplicitous. So, and what I am speaking of is not. So I can't speak about non-duality in its purest form, or in its purest meaning.
No, that's right. So that's
because
they're very similar.
Right. So there are no words for non-duality, because
that's right.
there are no 2 points in time and space.
Like you want me to describe what energy is, what feeling is, and I can't, because it's an experience. It's not a word. It's not a proof. As much as I was raised as scientific mind, I've got a scientific mind with a philosophy to me. So all of that is brought to the brought to the table.
Yeah, and
And
all we have are these clumsy attempts to try to relate to each other, and
yeah,
it's difficult. It's difficult, and particularly in written word. But also, doing it live and on record presents its own problems. But language
exactly.
is really lacking in
I'm
regards
just
to the subjects that we're talking about. Yeah.
I'm just looking at the pictures behind me, which are all ephemeral, really. They're all about
Love 'em.
ocean, water, sunset, all about experiencing the ephemeral rather
Yeah.
than the physical, which is
Yes.
basically, we have to live in this physical shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
It can
Well,
appear sometimes, but because I'm a total optimist and I am in full of gratitude, the shit is not shit to me. There's
right.
lots of people around me that are living in the same little group of units that I live in, but they live in this world of lack, of fear, of anxiety.
It, it,
I love the lockdown
yeah.
because
Yeah.
it allowed me time and space to myself, and I didn't have to make an excuse for not to be with people.
Yes.
So all of those things is and
Well,
yet
I'll do you one better, Maryanne. I've been bedridden. I have to lay on my left side, and I've been
yeah,
looking at the same wall in my bedroom for, I think, since '96. So we're looking at 6 years plus, right around 6 years that I have been locked down, essentially bedridden.
yes.
And when people when the pandemic or whatever it is, the virus came and everybody was locked down, and people were
I know
saying
you
it's been 2 months and I can't go anywhere, it's killing me, and
I
I was
know.
just loving it.
See,
I
but
thought it
you
was
see, the
hilarious.
way I look at that, Howard, the way I look at that is the universe was trying to get your attention, and the only way it could get your attention is sort of like me, who was a do, help.
Yeah.
I ended up getting chronic fatigue where I couldn't even help myself.
Well,
And it's sort of like, why does it take us to break down physically before we start dealing with our emotional and higher purpose levels?
no.
If I'd learned it earlier,
Oh,
I might be, but I don't want to be out in the world now. Actually, I'm quite happy. I go and do my pool and my sauna twice a week, and I do my shopping, and I'll chat to people. But I'm quite happy in my own. And a lot of people find it anxiety-inducing to be confined to their home.
yeah,
It's all perspective.
yes,
It's all perspective.
yes.
And
I mean,
thank God that you've got this perspective that you have. Otherwise, you'd be a very unhappy person.
well, yeah. Well, that's the thing about it. It's people ask me, why am I happy? And it's, I mean, I'm using loose language here, but why am I happy? Being in the situation I'm in, and it's all, and I have to admit that it's the story of me that it is almost affirming in that, like, I saw it ahead of time. I knew it was going to happen. So as it happens, I'm watching this unfold, and I'm like, wow, this is more affirming than anything. But that is the story of me. But see what I'm saying. I'm not negating the validity of that story of Howard and all the little characters within it. What I'm saying is that this is. I don't want to throw too much in, and because I know that I'm under the impression that what you are doing, insofar as the good fight or helping people and stuff like that, you seriously think this has meaning, purpose, and reason, that there is some kind of answer to it all. And all.
As far as helping people these days, it's I don't. The newest thing I get to help is passing on things that I've acquired in my dualistic journey that will help people deal with their dualistic journey. Okay. And making pointing out to them that there is another way to view all one's inadequacies and strife by actually thinking. Now, I used to think there's always somebody worse off than me, and there is usually. I mean,
and
state you're in.
The funniest thing is, from this perspective, from what I appear to be saying, is that it's the same thing, only it's not me doing it. It is the expression of the totality doing it. So it's not me helping other person or me trying to get Maryanne to understand that the lack of meaning, purpose, and reason is actually more beautiful than can be imagined.
Yes. And
yet it's not the individual doing it.
I think my version is beautiful. And
Right.
that's one thing I think about this dualist, non-dualist discussion, is that there's more than one route to any destination.
Absolutely.
And,
yes.
The thing I focus on is that we're in this physical duality. How to deal with it in a enjoyable way, basically, is
the beauty. The beauty is
why create more angst for myself in this dualistic environment?
Why believe a story? See, that's what I'm saying. The beauty of it is.
See, the thing is about believing the story is some people, when they say believe the story, they're in this victim mentality. I know I have a story, and my story has led me to where I am, and I'm grateful for where I'm at.
Yes.
Even with all my inadequacies.
Yes, ma'am.
My story does not define me. My story has created this dualistic experience to create a greater wisdom, understanding. I mean, I don't know. The language is
I think we're close. I mean, we're close, and I very much want to have another conversation with you. Would you be open to that?
Absolutely. Okay. It'd be interesting to see when you post this.
But I might post it as soon as tomorrow, because I've only got like 5 different videos to post. So it's either this week or next week.
I don't care whether you post it or not, Howard. I've enjoyed.
Oh, you will. I will. I absolutely will.
I've enjoyed having this discussion with you.
I've
never seen any of your other videos, actually, which is a bit strange. I'm not quite sure why they don't come up on my feed. I might have
just go to YouTube.
At the beginning it was 5 hours, and I knew that I wouldn't be able to watch that. So anyway, what I'm saying is I'll be interested to message you in some time later if I haven't heard any response back. I'd be interested to see what people say.
I think by Sunday it should be up, either this Sunday or next Sunday. But yes, and I definitely want to have another conversation with you. I think you're beautiful. I think you're amazing. I'm grateful for your presence. I'm grateful that you said yes to this interview. And I think we're learning from each other, for lack of a better phrase. So there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah.
65, I still consider myself, even though I'm physically inadequate, I like to keep my brain active. Which you don't think the brain exists.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I mean, and we can get into that as well.
Because I've dealt with so much with dementia, Howard. I think that's why it's ingrained in me not to think, because dementia is a horrible disorder.
It's not necessarily something that I would like to impart to people that have a mental illness, because I don't want people to flip out. I mean, if they lose a tether to what they consider to be the source. But I have another meeting I have to go to at 6, so I've only got a few minutes to get to that one. I have to cut this one short, and see how easy it is to go. It's already been an hour and a half, and if I didn't have that other appointment, this could be a 3-hour meeting.
It'd be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see whether my provider tells me how much data I've used up.
I think it's yes, and I hope that it's worth it.
Are you able to record Skype? Because Skype is free, isn't it?
Yeah, but I can't. But Skype doesn't transfer to YouTube. I had to.
Oh, right. Okay. See,
I gotta go.
Years ago, I used to be able to write a program for a CT machine. Now I can't use it Now I can't even use my personal thing. It took me about 3/4 of an hour to get the Zoom to load in and whatever.
Is it a money thing? Is it?
So it took 5 minutes. Me and technology, for some reason, the universe makes it difficult for me. So I'm
I hope
glad
I didn't. I hope I didn't eat up all your information.
No, look, I don't give a shit if you did anyway, Howard. It was very enjoyable. So I'll let you go and enjoy your next conversation, and let me know when we want to chat again, because I can talk underwater, as you can tell.
Absolutely, and I can't wait for our next discussion. I hope I see you in the group and elsewhere on Facebook or wherever. But yes, I say within the next 3 weeks. What do you think? You can do it again? Sounds good.
No worries.
Thank you, Maryanne. See you later.
See you later, darling. Bye.
Love you. Bye-bye.
Bye.